If any player in the NFL is using the doubters as fuel to prove them wrong, it's defensive end Charles Omenihu, who tore his ACL in the AFC Championship game but is now 3 months post-surgery and getting better every day. And in this video, I'll break down how fast he could realistically return and maybe even beat those odds. Look at the second best cornerback in the entire NFL, Travis Kelce, continuing to prove how extremely valuable for the money he really is, and more. But first, how about those? What's up, everybody? First up, Charles Omenihu recently shared a video of him doing some rehab exercises on his knee that got surgically repaired around 3 months ago, saying this, quote, "Surgery knee, by the way, 3 months post-op. They said I wouldn't be the same. Keep doubting. Vengeance on the way." I don't know why, but that made me instantly think of Batman.
I'm vengeance.
And while defensive back Najee Johnson said in a recent interview that Omenihu is indeed ahead of schedule, I personally am not doubting the strong return of Omenihu, but more questioning the exact timeline of his return. Can he defy the average time to return, which is around 9 to 12 months. He had surgery on February 20th, and Dr. Jesse Moore said he will most likely start on the PUP list, and then we may not see him until week 8 to week 10 of the 2024 season, barring no setbacks. So now that we know the schedule, that's going to be somewhere between October 27th to November 10th. And even that would be a quick turnaround of just over 8 months, with, again, the usual timeline to recover being around the 9 to 12 month mark. However, Adrian Peterson returned at the 8.5 month mark, and then even more recently, Seahawks linebacker Jordan Brooks returned to play in the 2023 NFL season after tearing his ACL on New Year's Day and having surgery on January 19th. And that was less than 8 months removed from ACL surgery. He returned to play. He actually had a great season, playing in 16 games, even having a career best in a few categories. So yeah, Omenihu may see the average timeline talk and take that with a little bit of disrespect, aiming to beat the odds. And honestly, I am fine with that man using that as motivation, and as long as the Chiefs training staff clears him, if Omenihu wants to return as soon as Jordan Brooks was able to, that would have him back around week 7, week 8 to finish out the rest of the season. I am all for it. Of course, for me, it's player safety over everything, because I know many athletes who rush to return only to regret it shortly after when they get re-injured. So not wishing for that, wanting him to be safe, but with the defensive end position definitely benefiting from Omenihu's return, the earlier the better for me. I mean, the guy racked up 5.5 sacks in the last 6 games of the regular season, boasting a career high in sacks in spite of him missing 6 games due to suspension. And that's no disrespect to the rest of the defensive end room either. The room is still strong with George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and Malik Herring, among others fighting to make the roster. I will say though, some of the success of the defensive end room is going to depend on Felix Anudike-Uzomah and him stepping up big in year 2 after a rather quiet 2023. He was a first-round pick last year, but part of the issue was due to him being injured the majority of the offseason after getting drafted. Then the other part was simply due to the defensive end room being pretty stacked, with Chris Jones also kicking outside on key downs. That's a bonus of having the best defensive tackle in the game in Chris Jones. He can kick outside and help with that as well, with Mike Dana, among others, being able to kick inside at times. Karlaftis. Now, this man is a great player in his own right. He actually had as many sacks as Chris Jones last year, tied at 10.5 apiece, and Karlaftis was the first non-Chris Jones defensive lineman to rack up 10 or more sacks since D. Ford in 2018, which is a pretty big deal. That's why when Omenihu returns, it's only going to make the D-line that much better. And speaking of players that make a position group better, PFF recently dropped an article ranking the top 32 cornerbacks ahead of the 2024 season, and there were a few familiar faces on there for Chiefs fans, with one current Chief being right near the tippity top. They had L'Jarius Sneed up at number 12, and while he's obviously gone and with the Titans, it's cool to see him getting some credit here, though I'm biased and think he deserves to be a lot higher up on this list. Then another former Chief actually came in third, with that being Charvarius. Everything is better over here in San Francisco other than actually winning Super Bowls. Ward, a great cornerback that I was a fan of when he was in KC, even though he was frustrating to watch at times, and I'm happy ultimately he got his bag. And then that brings us to the guy that is second overall on this list. That's going to be the one and only Trent McDuffie. John Costco of PFF wrote, McDuffie, a 2022 first-round pick, helped lead the Chiefs to back-to-back Super Bowl victories to start his career. He has graded well, earning an 83.8 coverage grade that ranks 7th at the position over the last 2 years. However, he excels at preventing separation, rushing the passer, and stopping the run, giving him an elite all-around game. Well, that's right, PFF. Put some respect on first-team All-Pro McDuffie's name. Anyway, McDuffie was second on this list, only to Sauce Gardner. And while I am a huge Chiefs homer at times, lifelong Chiefs fan, born and raised in Kansas City, you know the deal, I can humbly accept McDuffie in second, only behind Sauce. Now, somebody who is now at the top, like Sauce, but playing opposite him on the other side of the field is going to be Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson. And no, he has nothing to do with the Chiefs, but stick with me here, because when players like this get paid as much as he just did, it further goes to show the incredible value a certain Chiefs pass catcher continues to bring to the team. If you didn't see this, yesterday Justin Jefferson reached an agreement with the Vikings on a 4-year contract extension worth $140 million, 110 of that guaranteed, which makes him the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, just over Nick Bosa, who previously held the record. And with Justin Jefferson now making an average of $35 million a year, which is insane but well-deserved, it only makes what Travis Kelce is getting paid seem like even more of an extreme discount. Sure, Travis Kelce is a tight end, it's different pay scales, but he has the on-the-field output to that of basically any top receiver in the NFL. Since 2020, Jefferson's rookie here, Kelce has nearly 5,000 yards receiving, which is 7th in the NFL for all pass catchers, and racked up 37 touchdowns, which is top 5 among all pass catchers. And when you compare the production from Jefferson compared to Kelce over the last 4 seasons, Kelce has 1,000 less yards, but 6 more scores. And even though this comparison isn't technically fair, considering Justin Jefferson was injured in the game against the Chiefs last year for like half the season, the moral of the story is Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL and got paid like it. Meanwhile, the best tight end in the NFL is making roughly half the money per year JJ is, $17 million APY for Kelce compared to Jefferson's $35 APY, yet has well over half of JJ's production. Travis Kelce is a huge reason why KC's offense could get away with trading Tyreek Hill and still winning back-to-back Super Bowls. He's the reason why other pass catchers on the team are also getting open due to their lack of ability to get open last year, because Kelce is getting double or triple teamed. He's the reason for so much of the offense's production, which of course is only further helped by Andy Reid being the best offensive mind in the game and Mahomes being the best quarterback in the game. That's a given. Though sure, last year was a quote-unquote down year for Kelce due to some unfortunate injuries, and the defense had to carry the team more times than not, but still, in the playoffs, Kelce racked up 32 catches for 355 yards and 3 scores in 4 games. That's an average of 8 catches for nearly 90 yards and 3/4 of a touchdown per game. And that's when the lights shine the brightest and teams play their most aggressive, physical game and defensive coordinators are pulling out all the stops. I'm definitely going to be interested to see what decisions the Chiefs make over the next couple of years, knowing that Kelce's time on the field is sadly nearing its end. Once Kelce is gone, you're most likely not going to get away with paying someone who outputs wide receiver 1 production at such an extreme discount. So definitely interested to see how that turns out, unless, for whatever reason, KC manages to find their next GOAT successor, like they did somehow after Tony Gonzalez with Travis Kelce. But I'm certainly not going to hold my breath for that. Either way, it's a conversation for another day entirely, and I will not be excited about that day, the day Kelce decides to hang up his cleats like his brother Jason did very recently. And since I decided to give Travis Kelce some props in today's video, I think defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo gets some props as well, because the Pro Football Writers of America recognized Spags as a recipient of the annual Dr. Z Award. And basically this award is presented for lifetime achievement as an assistant coach in the NFL. I mean, this is a given for Spags. He's not only a huge part of the Chiefs' recent success, commanding one of the best defenses in the NFL last year, but he's also the only coordinator, offense or defense, to ever win a Super Bowl with 2 different franchises in NFL history. Anyway, that's all for now, but phase 3 of OTAs are still underway and more coverage will be coming later this week after Andy Reid and some players speak to the media on Thursday. After that, it's mandatory minicamp next week, followed by roughly 6 weeks of nothingness, the drought of the NFL offseason before training camp starts up at the end of July. And with all that being said, until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?